We're seeing patients in back rooms and corridors because that's the only space we have. The stark warning from staff at the North East's biggest A&E department who say mounting pressure is causing many to leave. The most recent data shows that only 39% of patients at Aberdeen Royal Infirmary were seen, treated and then admitted or discharged within 4 hours, the worst in Scotland that week. STV News was given access inside the emergency department. Brian Agriachan spoke to those at the sharp end of the NHS.
For years, we've heard about the pressures facing our NHS, but this is where it's felt the most. Staff here at Aberdeen Royal Infirmary's A&E are working around the clock to treat as many patients as possible, but mounting pressures are taking its toll, something that doesn't look set to ease any time soon. Now, many are leaving the profession altogether.
I mean, you go back to COVID times where we're all getting lauded and getting clapped in the streets, to now where some of the staff get booed going into the wait rooms to be able to pull patients in because they're waiting for so long to get assessed now. What people don't see is the 20 or 30 folk we have in the waiting room, as well as the ambulances are stacking, and then we have patients waiting for beds to go in hospitals, with patients all lined up the corridors waiting to get seen and assessed. And we can only see so many folk at a time. And equally, if there's no patients flow into the hospital, then it's really challenging to get new ones into base. We're trying to see patients in back rooms and corridors because that's the only space we have to see folk.
The hospital is often operating at a more than 110% capacity. NHS Grampian has the lowest number of acute hospital beds in the country per head of population. But there's problems in the community too. On average, around 190 patients who are well enough can't leave the hospital because they have nowhere to go. Those patients remain in a bed that could be used for someone waiting to be admitted.
The level of activity hasn't lessened from COVID, so we're seeing patients presenting who are maybe more unwell because they weren't able to access care during COVID. So, that's definitely a thing that's happened since. And, our ageing population is growing, and that's having an impact on the level and number of patients that come through our departments daily.
Figures released today show in A&E at Aberdeen Royal Infirmary, only 39% of patients were seen, treated and then admitted or discharged within 4 hours. The national target is 95%. More than 300 patients were waiting over 8 hours and 88 were over 12 hours.
When you're stuck in a system that feels like we're constantly just under severe pressure and unable to make changes to that system, I think that wears people down, which just drives that sense of disillusionment and helplessness.
This is one of the 8 bays in what is known as the overspill area. For patients, they've been seen and treated, but for many, they're facing lengthy waits to be admitted to a ward.
It was good because I never had to wait in an ambulance, and I got straight in. But I'm still in the assessment ward, so I've gotten a good bed, so they'll be putting me up to the ward shortly.
Outside A&E, scenes like these have become common. The hospital has consistently struggled with some of the longest ambulance turnaround times in the country. The Scottish Ambulance Service says the health board poses the highest risk to their service.
Ideally, we wouldn't have an overspill area. Ideally, we'd be able to move patients through the hospital. But at the minute, we don't have that. We need to become more efficient. We need to become better in our discharge processes. And if we can do that, then overspill doesn't need to exist. But it's one of the initiatives we've put in place. And this is the things we're trying to do to keep patients as safe as possible, make sure they're getting the care they need when they need it.
But it's not just pressures on the ground. NHS Grampian's finances are also under scrutiny as they attempt to save £62 million this financial year. But the Health Board is one of the lowest funded boards per head of population.
The issue quite clearly and demonstrably not being the emergency department, there is a wider issue across the whole system that needs to be addressed. and that's why we will be working not just with NHS Grampian, but across the whole system to ensure that the unscheduled care pathway across the ambulance service and general practice and social care in Grampian, it moves to a more sustainable footing.
How does that feel then?
Despite the issues facing this service, at the heart are staff who work tirelessly to treat the sickest of patients. For many, they went into this profession passionate about helping others, but increasing pressure can sometimes make that job feel impossible.